Oh my God, I can't believe I did this. I'm gonna roll this Samurai out of the shop for the first time today into the modified bed that we're gonna do all the modifications ourselves. We're gonna use four-wheel drive for the first time in the Nevada desert in my tow truck. Then we're gonna get Matt's Offroad Recovery. Then we're gonna barely make it to SEMA. Ian's gonna tell us what he thinks about the Samurai, and I'm gonna continue to battle Kodiak woes so that I can hopefully get back home to Washington. But it's all gonna start by finishing the Samurai just enough that we can bring it to the SEMA show in Las Vegas, Nevada. Oh, it's going down now between the two of us. A couple of the jobs that I need to get done in order to go to the SEMA show are just simply mechanical jobs. I want drive shafts, I want it to be able to steer, I want it to be able to stop. And then other things are just cosmetic. They don't have to be done first to go to the SEMA show, but I want this to look as complete as possible. And I want people to be able to see the vision that I see in my head. So I want to get this as close to that vision as possible before we load it up in the bed of my truck and then drive it all the way down to Las Vegas. Speaking of which, we need to build some sort of a way to get the Samurai into the bed of my truck. So that's something else we need to do before we can take off. Coilovers are one of those parts that's obviously, it's mechanical, it's a necessity, but they just look so off-road, and I want to stage these reservoirs in a way that it looks well thought out, they look well placed, and it just kind of plays to the idea that this is kind of like a full-bodied race car. It's not a race car, but it's a full-bodied, purpose-built off-road rig, and the way that we package and put a bow on these coilovers, I think, is really going to help add to the look and the feel and the vibe that this thing gives off as it's at the SEMA show and when it's going down the trail. In between tasks, I'm going to try to finish this grill because we have 3 criteria, well, just personal criteria we need to meet before this can go to SEMA. I wanted it to be able to steer, and we completed all the hydraulic lines. Things are actually bled pretty good. And if you turn this around enough times, it does turn these big ass tires so we can steer it on and off the back of the truck. The other criteria is good looks. We're on our way there. The grill's almost done. A bunch of things have been wrapped. Windshield guys working on the windshield for us. And then the third criteria is brakes. I want it to be able to stop. Power stop, we have gone back and forth. They kept sending me out different things that I thought might work, and now we finally figured out what will work. And we've got our brake pads that just showed up yesterday, all the calipers, rotors are already on there. So Matt is gonna start working on getting all the calipers and pads and all that stuff on there. And I need to makeshift a little rod to go in between our booster and our master. This booster is from a Jeep TJ, and the master is from a Dodge Ram 3500. I wanted to make sure that we had a master that was large enough to move enough fluid volume to actually get this thing to stop hard, and then to give us the power that we need in order to use the master. The Jeep TJ boosters are pretty good size, and they've been proven in many different applications to be more than adequate to lock up 1-ton brakes. These two parts do bolt together, but they don't exactly marry perfectly when it comes to the little like screw that would normally go between the TJ booster and the TJ master. For that reason, we're going to make a longer bolt that's going to go in between the two, and this should make it to where we can set our pedal sensitivity and our like the relationship between the booster and master as it relates to how much slop we have in the brake pedal. If you watch the earlier part in the series, you know that I ordered this Samurai grill. It's actually a Jimny grill from Japan. I cut it and narrowed it to where I could fit the American Samurai hood, and now I've got everything paint matched. It should look really good and really factory when it's all said and done.
very high on the list of things that need to be completed are random brake lines. The amount of money that I've spent in custom hydraulic lines for this little Samurai is insane, but it's so crucial to get quality lines made for steering and brakes, just anything hydraulic. I don't want to skimp. I don't want to order anything universal or generic. I'm going to pay the extra money, have this stuff made locally, and hopefully not have any issues. These cutting brakes are a labor of love. I spent so much money in fittings and little like lines and stuff to hook all this up in here. And it's just, these should be like 2 inches longer. I think I'm gonna like throw all this in here in a way that's gonna work so that we can bleed the brakes and use this for SEMA. And then afterwards, we'll see. If it works, and I'll build some sort of a cover right here to just cover this plumbing. I'll build maybe like a dimple die aluminum something. But right now, it's just, it's gotta go. We are running out of days very, very quickly. I bought this Chevy 5500 specifically so that I could load a Samurai into the bed, and hopefully long term, if the truck proves itself, we'll modify this to where we could load 80 my 4x4s in the bed. But for now, I need to figure out some sort of a solution that I could use throughout the winter to be able to transport the Samurai to the trail. And so I'm going to extend the bed like 2 feet. We're going to build some ramps that are going to probably be heavy as hell. And while I'm in the middle of working on all that, Matt is going to start installing our Adams drive shaft. Every vehicle you have seen built on this channel, I use Adams. I love Adams, and I had a lot of experience with local drive shaft companies that didn't specialize in 4x4s, and I broke like 3 or 4 drive shafts over the years. Since I started using Adams like 4 years ago, I have broke 0. So hopefully with this divide and conquer strategy, we can get everything ready so we can load this Samurai tomorrow and head down to Vegas. These ramps are monstrous, but they kind of have to be. They need to get a vehicle into the bed of a truck that's really tall, and I need them to be as short as possible because I don't want them to weigh 400 pounds, so I'm trying to strike a balance, and this is what I've came up with for now.
In the last video, I asked, would you rather, if it was you, would you rather do this in black vinyl, this little inside part, or do it in bed liner? And all of you chose option C. Not all of you. Tons and tons of you chose, hey, you should paint it the exact same color as the cage. I've had people call me, friends, Ian, the guy who used to own the Samurai, said to do it in orange. Here's the problem with that. See this edge? There's a very distinguished edge between the vinyl and this. It's not super straight. It would be difficult for me to cut it super straight. I'm not like amazing with a utility knife or anything like that. And I would definitely need to overlap it with the paint, which would look like complete garbage. I promise you. And it would flake off. Like that automotive paint's not going to stick to the vinyl very well. So the whole point of breaking up that color is the fact that, like, this is extremely difficult to get the wrap into. And so what we're trying to do is mask that edge all the way around and make it to where if we put that Raptor liner on there, it's gonna hide that edge, and it's gonna give us, the edge is gonna be whatever we choose whenever we pull our masking. It's the same thing here. I wanna make sure that we're taking that bed liner and we're going over our vinyl to help like encapsulate it, to keep it from, you know, coming off, you know, giving it a little more longevity. Sorry if my English isn't working very well. I'm very tired. But it's going to give us a very clean finish. So I know that you guys want to see this orange, and I know some of you are going to say, well, you could do tintable bed liner. I don't have tintable bed liner. We're out of time on this. I've never messed with tintable bed liner. I don't want to experiment with such an important part with tintable bed liner. So unfortunately, we're going to keep this thing dark and mysterious. That's going to be black, and then we're going to have the bright orange cage. Dude, I know.
This is officially our last day before we leave town, and I have a ton to do. I've got Matt buttoning up a whole bunch of odds and ends on the Samurai to get it prepped. I've got a glass guy who put new glass in the windshield frame, and he had to do some trimming in order to get it to fit the windshield frame, so I'm so glad that I paid a professional to do that instead of try to tackle that myself. And then I took a good portion of the day just getting a working winch mounted into the bed of this Kodiak. We're using one of the Badlands winches. At this point, I think the secret's out. Everybody knows for the money, it's really hard to beat one of these winches. And then one of the final jobs that I gave myself was just getting the winch mounted in the Samurai and then getting our hookless fair lead mounted in the Samurai. This is, many of you know that I had a lot to do with this product coming to market. I worked with Yankum Ropes, and if you're interested in a hookless fair lead, make sure you check it out on our website. These are 100% manufactured and sold here in the United States, and we're really proud of this product.
Morning. It's like 6 o'clock, so not super early. It's Sunday. I really want to get to Vegas today. I'm in like the desert part of Oregon. I've got to be really close to Nevada now. I just saw this random gas station in the middle of nowhere. It's like a truck stop with truckers pulled off. And yeah, this is the luxurious way that I travel. I sleep in the back of my trucks. I'm 38 years old and I still sleep in my truck. But this honestly isn't that bad. I'm a little over 6 foot. So like, you know, it's like my feet go to the window and whatnot. But, you know, once I turn sideways, I sleep pretty good in here. It's not bad. I just fired up the truck. I got it warming up. At some point today, I'd like to show you what I did in the bed and show you like what my thought process was just real quick on how I built it to be able to drive the Samurai into it.
The modifications that I've done to this bed are not like a long-term strategy, but it's something that will get me through the rest of the year as I decide if I want to keep this truck. If we decide that we're going to keep this truck, I'm going to do some very heavy modifications to the truck, and then we're going to build our own bed from scratch. But until then, this is what I've come up with in the short term.
All right, first off, this bed is super thick. It's extremely heavy. And I want it's somewhere close to 1/4 inch. Oh, are we done? Oh, we're done. Yep, we're done. And so I anchored it in to the bed with a lot of confidence, knowing that you can do a lot with a bed this thick. You know, before I forget, let's just take care of this. Speaking of heavy duty and also ridiculously heavy, these are the world's heaviest ramps, which I knew they were gonna be, but we've got a big span between here and the ground, and it makes it to where you need heavy duty ramps. I can't have these folding on me in the middle of nowhere, and then I have no way to get the Samurai on here. So they're extremely heavy, but they're definitely not gonna bend. This is 3 by 2 by 3/16, I think. And this expanded steel is 3/16 thick. The expanded steel is actually extremely rigid and thick. So as you can see, I've got lights back here, and that's because I slightly cover up the lights, and I did the expanded steel in a way that you can still definitely see the lights whenever they're on and whenever I'm hitting the brakes. In any case, I added these two. Each one it's brakes and turn. They both work together, and then that's my those are my like parking lights. And the wiring, I just went into my 7-pin. So in the future, when I'm hauling multiple rigs on this thing, so if I put the Samurai in the bed, let's say I put Kelly's S10 on the trailer or something, I'll be able to I'll get some sort of an adapter that's like some sort of a 7-pin through adapter. But come on, it's kind of cool, right? Just plug it right into the 7-pin, and now I have lights. And then I have this extra dog leg down here. So this goes into the stake pockets, and then it bolts down onto the top of the bed. That way we're pulling on two surfaces. We're pulling on this really thick top plate, and it's pulling on the back, this really thick back plate. And then this dog leg is just to make it to where it's got a place to push while it's going up on the ramps. I mean, we're basically on the bed, but I wanted to make sure this was beefy enough that I wouldn't have any issues. So it's pretty much all 1/4 inch. There's some 3/16 in there, but I'm really curious to see the backlash I get in the comments on this. It didn't budge at all whenever we were pulling it on. So I'm not worried. And to be super clear, this is honestly a temporary solution. Ultimately, I want to chop and extend the wheelbase of this thing about 2 feet, and then build a custom bed that's going to have a custom dove welded into it. And then I want to be able to set this truck up to where it can haul every 4x4 I own instead of just Samurais.
On my way down to Vegas that morning, I ran across a couple folks who were stranded in the middle of the desert. They ran out of gas, and I had 10 extra gallons of diesel on board, but no gas for them. I offered to give them a ride to town, and I mean, sometimes I forget that, you know, I'm just an ogre looking dude in a Kodiak. They politely declined. But it wasn't that long after that where I needed someone to swoop in a big Kodiak and try to save my day. You can see what it's like to be a YouTuber. I got a wild hair. I need a thumbnail. I'm gonna put this in 4-wheel drive. All right, there's 4-wheel. I think I want to get honestly, this is not smart. I don't have any way of recovery, and I have 0 bars, but I see this little construction spot, and I want to get down in there and get a cool thumbnail. So hopefully this works out okay. All right, 4 low. 4 low. Drive. Ooh. Let's see what that was. What if that was a transfer case? You still have drive? Oh no. We're not on anything. Oh God, I can't believe I did this. So I broke the front and the rear axles.
I didn't goose it or anything. I just put it in four-wheel drive, got down here. We're not hung up anywhere. So as soon as it got to the bottom, the front and rear axle both broke. Watch this. There's reverse. See that? Oh, you can't see that. The shaft's just spinning. Nothing's happening. Same thing with the front end.
This show you're going to, what is it?
The show is called SEMA.
I am smack dab in the middle of nowhere, Nevada, and our insurance, who we pay to have like towing and recovery services through, basically after a couple hours, they said that they can't help. A local stopped by. The dude was awesome. He offered up to, for me to have a place to stay, which was super generous. But I've got to get a Samurai to Vegas because we're running out of time to get this in the Power Stop brake booth. And I told him it was going to be in their booth. I don't want to go back on my word. So I posted on social media. I said, if anybody knows anybody in Nevada that can help, or anybody who's going to Vegas that might have room on their trailer for the Samurai, at this point, if I've got to just abandon the Kodiak for a couple days and then come back for it, that's fine. I just need to get this Samurai to Vegas. I shot a text out to my friend Matt with Matt's Offroad Recovery, and after a little bit, he did get back to me, and he said that he's going to come save me, even though I'm very far from him.
That's cool. Nate, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
I appreciate you stopping though. Thank you. So here's the plan. I don't have service down here. I have service in this weird random little hole. I call it a hole. I'm in a hole now. A weird random little square right there. And I got a hold of my friend Matt from Matt's Offroad Recovery, and he's gonna drive 5 hours to come help me out. Matt and I have been talking about collaborating for 2.5 years, and we just never seem to make it happen. Today it's finally gonna happen, and not in the way that I would have loved to have to collaborated with Matt, but I guess this means I owe you guys a video. Now that Matt is gonna come and save me and pull me out and everything, I think once the Samurai is done and I've broken in locally, maybe I need to get down to St. George, see Matt, and we can go hit some trails.
I guess I got my thumbnail trying to find like the silver lining here. There's a bunch of stuff that just didn't add up, and as the sun went down, for some reason, I got better phone service in the Kodiak, so it got crazy cold, but I was able to go through forums and learn a little bit more about this truck, and there's just a whole bunch of stuff that didn't add up, and I wanted some answers.
It's so cold, and I'm so bored, but I want to go try something. So check it out. I did a whole bunch of research. Somehow cell phone service has moved its way into my Kodiak. I found out that there's a bunch of people that are doing like truck pulls and different stuff that are breaking the rear axle shafts in these axles. Everything I found was F450s, but it's still a Dana 110. So that would explain the rear. That's way more likely to break an axle shaft than a ring and pinion. And I've been sitting in here looking through and thinking about it, and I'm not 100% certain that the front hubs in these trucks are fixed. So it's a long shot. It's cold as hell out there, but let's go take a look, because I remember it being like a one-piece hubcap, but let's just see.
I've owned a ton of vehicles over the years with selectable hubs, but I've never owned one where you had to like remove a cap in order to access those hubs. And with so few of these four-wheel drive Kodiaks out there, I couldn't find anything online about it.
Freaking way, dude. I think the front end probably works. I just assumed it was a fixed hub. No way. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Holy cow. What does that say? It says free. Oh my God. Okay. Today on Nate Learns How His Trucks Work.
Having the front end not locked in obviously has nothing to do with the rear end falling apart. I should be able to do six-wheel drive burnouts all the way down the Las Vegas Strip and never have an issue with these axles. They are ridiculous. And backing out of this hole in front-wheel drive would be super irresponsible just because I just had a rear axle brake. So I definitely need someone to assist me in getting out of here. But the fact that we have front-wheel drive means that I might be able to drive onto a trailer unassisted.
It is not, I mean, we already broke a rear shaft, which, by the way, here, let me turn you around. That rear shaft should not have broke. You saw in the video, as soon as I hit it in 4 low, it just shattered. This truck came with head studs. It came with a whole bunch of stuff done to it. I'm wondering if someone like Compound Turbo, somebody made this like their pulling truck, beat the crap out of it, blew something up, put it back to stock, and then I bought it. Because that would make way more sense if the rear shaft had hit yield strength under like heavy pulling conditions, or meaning like tractor pulls, or who knows, maybe they wanted to turn this into a hot rod truck. So, because again, we weren't spooling turbo, nothing. We put it in 4-wheel drive, we started idling, and it just... So, here's the moment of truth. Will it move a little bit? I just heard the front end go in. Oh my gosh. Okay, so, knowing what we know now, I still think it's not smart to try to back out of this until Matt gets here. But now we know that once he hooks a winch to this, I can assist him at getting out, and then I could probably drive onto his trailer in front wheel drive. I think that's them. Yes! We have arrested.
Good evening.
Long time no see. Woo. How you doing?
This was 2 really hard months to get the Samurai to this point, to where I could almost get it to Vegas. And then the last 2 weeks have been like 14 to 16 hour days. It's just, before I got to this point, I was so beat up and exhausted, and now I've just been sitting in this hole that represents my mistakes for the last like 12 hours, just eating lunch meat and trail mix. Thank God Matt was willing to come here in the middle of the night and save me a whole state away from where he's from. Right now, the plan is to go back to Hurricane or St. George, wherever the heck Matt's Offroad Recovery is located, and then make a plan of how to get me to SEMA, because we are just hours away from them closing the door permanently for the week, and then all this hard work was for nothing. By the way, Matt is a savage. He picked me up after midnight, and we didn't get back to his place until like 6, slept for like 2 hours, got up at like 8 or 8:30, and then he was Johnny on the spot with his normal daily routine on top of making sure that I got taken care of, and I had transport to Las Vegas, Nevada.
That's admirable. Crazy capable.
We've got to go about 2 miles. Front wheel drive. We're basically a 17,000 pound Honda Civic at this point. Oh, I'll hear a little pop. Just probably like leaf spring sounds, and it makes my heart stop, because yesterday I grenaded what is probably the strongest rear axle I've ever had in any vehicle. Anyway, fingers crossed. We just got to make it so I can unload this Samurai, and then if it breaks from there, whatever. I'll get a tow truck, I guess. I have no idea, but at least the Samurai will be in the booth.
We go straight back. They gotta be really heavy. That's better. Yeah. All right, go ahead, let it out. We should be good now. Whoa.
Yeah, we'll clear.
We'll see with the shopping carts.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, straight.
Good. Slow down, guys. Cut hard.
For your average Joe, SEMA is like not even on your radar, and I totally understand why. This is an industry-only event. You can't just go get tickets, at least until the last 2 years. Now, the last day of the show, they do open it up to the public. But for like your just regular dude like you and me, you know, this has not been something that's accessible to us. I'm a plumber from Tacoma who started a YouTube channel because I just have a passion for building weird stuff in my backyard. And then that gave me access a few years ago to SEMA for my first time. And then now I've got a vehicle that we hand built together. Like, I feel like you guys helped in this because you watching the videos made this build possible. And then I was able to hire help, someone locally that could help me finish this project just in time. And then I got help from Matt to get here. And then I got help from strangers pushing it in here. And it's just this really big moment for me of gratitude to be in this situation. And there's one person that I really value their opinion, and I want to know what he thinks.
Roll them whenever you guys are ready.
All right, let's see how I do this. So far, I've gotten a lot of good feedback. The show just opened a few hours ago, but this started life as Ian's Samurai.
My Samurai.
And now it's ending life well, maybe not ending life, we'll see. This iteration of its life, it's my Samurai, and it's really important to me to find out what Ian thinks.
It's like a rebirth of the Samurai.
It is a rebirth.
The funny part about the Samurai is it rebirthed itself like 5 times when I owned it.
Yeah, oh, totally.
Yeah.
Through multiple seasons, and then the guy you sold it to, he'd put his own little spins on little things here and there.
Yep.
And so
what I think of it, I think it's freaking awesome. I absolutely love it. I think it's perfect because it's still got the diesel underneath the hood, which is why I knew you'd want to have it. So the story is, I don't know if Nate shared this with you in any of his videos or not, but so I built this on my TV show, and then when the production company wanted to sell it, I sold it to a buddy of mine under the understanding that if he ever sold it, I'd get it back because I love this truck. I absolutely love it. His family grew up. He couldn't take his daughter four-wheeling, a bigger family, so he needed to get a bigger rig. So he asked me if I wanted it back. I said, I have too many cars right now, but I know a guy who loves VW diesels, which is Nate. Yeah. So I called Nate, and Nate was like, I'm all over it.
Oh, yeah.
And so he took it and turned it into this. I think it's awesome.
Well, I look forward to you and I meeting some point somewhere in the country and then you drive it.
Yeah, we gotta go wheeling.
Yeah, we gotta go wheeling for sure.
Yeah, because it always was such a good working rig, and I think you've kind of got that same theme because the whole idea behind this truck originally always was like super light but heavy down low.
Yeah.
We did it a little bit differently, but now you've done it with the Mog axles, everything's super cool. So it's super heavy down low, still light up top. So I bet you it's gonna wheel pretty awesome. I just want to know, like, all that's left is like half the tub at this point, right?
Yeah, from your build. Yeah, all that was left from the original Samurai, I calculated it out, it's about 0%.
Okay.
But
there's no...
From the original build? Original build?
Oh, you didn't get a windshield frame?
No, I didn't get a windshield frame.
The windshield frame was the only thing from the original Samurai.
Yeah, and then the steering wheel, which is going to be wall art.
Yeah, okay.
But when I got it, it didn't have a steering column, all that, like I said, the previous owner had done work and stuff. And so I just did a whole ground up thing, which is, instead of restoring it back to the way you had it, it just made sense to continue to carry the torch.
I think it's cool. And I think you did it right, because like I said, it literally started as a tin top, LCG with a steering gear and coil springs.
Yeah.
Literally like 2.5 inch coil-over coil springs.
Yeah.
It was 4 200-pounders. Then those went away. Then it became LCG tin top.
Yep.
With air shocks.
And custom, is that when you did the custom chip?
No, that was just LC. That was step 2.
Oh, yeah.
Step 3 was then tube chassis.
Aluminum body.
Yep. And just transplanted the whole drivetrain over.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's already been redone completely 3 times. And then kind of the 4th time with the new owner, and now the 5th time. So
yeah, now the 5th time.
I think that's perfect.
And hopefully last time. This is one that I want to keep in our family. I just love looking at it. Hopefully I like wheeling it, but I think I will.
I think it's going to be great. I think it's awesome, dude. I'm super stoked to see it. It's cool to see it here. I'm glad you made it, even though you had some drama on the way. But
there's a little drama.
It's all good. It's here. It's all that matters. For the SEMA show. And what most matters is when we wheel it next, we'll find the time and we'll both get some buggies and do some buggy things.
Hell yeah.
That'll be awesome.
I have some giant loose ends to tighten up here before I can take my Samurai back home. So I had some Patreon supporters volunteer when I had lunch with them at SEMA to come out and help me tear this truck down. Alon at Harbor Freight, huge shout out. He hooked it up. And so I had the tools that I needed to tear down the Kodiak, so I thought. I had almost everything. We ended up having to tear it down towards the end of the week. I had some replacement axle shafts. We pulled the factory shafts out and realized that they are in fine condition. So I made a bunch of phone calls. A friend, Chet Ruth, reached out and he said that he had a Kodiak rear end. He was only like an hour and a half, 2 hours from Vegas. So he pulled the third member out, brought it down to me. Just another angel that just came out of nowhere and helped me get back on the road. And we pulled that factory third out, and this is what we found.
This is my friend Chet. He drove an hour and a half. He brought a new center section, even some shafts and stuff. Well, new to me, center section and some shafts. And he's trying to help me leave tomorrow. Fingers crossed, please, everybody at home, that this actually fits in there so that I can leave and go home.
When we got this apart and we discovered what was wrong, it was extremely vindicating and made me feel like I made the right choice on not trying to drive the 1,100-mile journey home in front-wheel drive.
Check this out, folks. I have had people comment when I do my ring and pinion installs about how you don't need to red Loctite your ring gear bolts. And I'm not a like I told you so kind of fella. But someone has absolutely had this apart. There's a different bolt here, so like this has had issues before. And as you can see, we have a whole bunch of what don't look like the Yukon style, like, you know, what comes with, dude, it's all nice and warm. These bolts to me look like the wrong ring gear bolts, and they are definitely not Loctited in there, and they have all come apart. And as you can see, we got some ooey gooey. So now, here's the hoping this fits in there. Otherwise, I mean, I can't even put that back in there at this point. Oh man, I hope this fits.
After 2 really hard months of working on the Samurai and then huge help from Matt's Offroad Recovery and from Patreon supporters and from Chet helping me rebuild the rear end in a O'Reilly parking lot, we're finally on our way home. And even though my front and rear ring and pinions are currently at a different ratio, I feel like we can make it.
Samurai is back where it belongs. It feels so good to be home. What a trip. This is obviously a different video than I would normally make. I hope you enjoyed the little adventure that we had. Next adventure for me is I'm gonna go out and just enjoy being a person in the woods with my Land Cruiser. And then when I get back, next week, we're gonna start working on this thing again. So hopefully by the end of the month or so, we might have this running and driving, and then very, very soon have it out in the woods. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time.